Everybody's mics on. I'd like to call to order the regular governing board meeting of the Jefferson Elementary School District. And can we get a call to order? Members present.
Clayton Koo.
Here.
Marie Brizuela is absent. Maybelle Monio.
Here.
Manufo Leainga Anawai.
Here.
And Shaquille Ali.
Here. And Mr. Vidales, would you like to lead us in the pledge?
I believe we have students from
Oh,
Westlake
yes, okay.
that are going to lead us.
Nice.
So Westlake students that are leading the pledge, please come forward.
Delegating.
Good evening, school board members, students,
teachers and families. Please rise. Please take off your hats and hoods.
And mouse ears.
Put your right hand over your heart. Put your right hand over your heart. Say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thanks. In order to support effective meetings, the board and superintendent have adopted the following meeting guidelines. Oh, they're not. So at this time, we will, okay, thank you. So we'll take a moment to review these guidelines. Should be dollars, you good? Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. Second.
We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Item 6, special presentation. Item 6A, the Great Kindness Challenge at Westlake Elementary School. The Great Kindness Challenge is a one-week event, January 27th through 31st, 2020, promoted by schools around the world to highlight the importance of performing acts of kindness. Westlake students and staff will share the many ways they engage during the week.
Thank you. I'm Liz O'Neill, principal of Westlake Elementary, and I'm going to borrow a phrase I heard this last weekend, the happiest school on earth. We celebrated the Great Kindness Challenge the last week of January 2020. Our school counselor, Nicole Ramirez, along with our student council, helped plan this event. This is Westlake's second year participating in this event, and it's one of my favorite weeks of the school year. We've had requests to extend this week, and we'll be doing refresher days throughout the rest of the school year. I'm going to turn this over to Nicole, who describes some of the events from this week.
My name is Nicole Ramirez. I'm the school counselor at Westlake, and our students will be explaining more in detail about what I'm going to mention, but my main role was to help with kindness stations. so that students could come in during lunch recess or their afternoon or morning recess to come in to the counseling room and engage in a kindness station such as making kind hands. So we had cut out paper hands where students could write down different acts of kindness that they observed their fellow students doing at school. We made a kindness chain, decorating different strips of paper with stickers and different acts of kindness and inspirational quotes and ideas that we are going to be putting up at school. And we also had appreciation letters for staff. We made sure to focus on all staff at school, especially those staff who don't always get recognized, such as classified staff, and students enjoyed writing letters to them to say thank you. We also had a photo booth that you'll get to see some photos of that said "Be the I in kind," and so the photo booth had the letters K, N, and D, and staff were able to be the I in the letter I in kind. We also kicked off the entire week having Spirit Days. And at the end of the week, all classes came into the counseling room to sign a pledge that said, "Be kind and stick together to create a kinder school." And I'll turn this over to Nolan and Katarina to talk about Spirit Days.
On Monday of Spirit Week, we did Wild About Kindness when you dress like an animal or wear animal print clothing. Now you do Tuesday.
Tuesday, dreaming of kindness, wear pajamas.
On Wednesday, we did Hats Off to Kindness, which means you wear a hat.
Thursday, we can work out problems, wear workout gear.
And on Friday, we did Powered by Kindness, which means you need to wear superhero gear. Yay. Okay, so now you start to say my highlighted part. Yes, your highlighted part.
I liked superheroes of kindness because people wore capes.
Yes.
We would have this like chart that we needed to finish, and when we entered the classroom I was hearing more compliments, and it could have been to finish it, but it felt different than usual.
I felt like most people participated in the Great Kindness Challenge and gave each other smiles and high fives.
I noticed that we had a cleaner school.
I really got to meet new people, and that felt like a kinder school. It felt more comfortable at school. It felt a little more like home.
And so there's just like about another minute or so of the slideshow, so showing our different kindness stations.
Those are the kindness chain and the kindness. And they love the stickers.
Yeah. And Pajama Day was a big favorite.
And those are appreciation letters.
This is the pledge that we're posting up that everybody came in and signed, pledging to be kind. I would have put music, but we had a couple of videos that they didn't quite transition very well into the slideshow, so, yeah.
Everyone signed that regardless of their ability to write.
Yes, we had some X's, yeah. Including our preschool. Very cute. And that's it.
All right, thanks for that wonderful presentation. Would any board members like to ask any questions or make any comments? Cool.
I just want to thank the school and all the students for speaking tonight. I mean, honestly, I think we all probably need more kindness in this world. So I just want to say thank you for actually making sure that our students know that's a true, like actually a trait that actually people value. So I just want to say thank you and hope you guys actually had a great week, and it looks like you guys did as well too.
Thank you, students, staff, and families for joining us today and sharing this wonderful project and the great week that you guys had. I especially loved the photo booth idea, so kudos to the person who thought about that, because it's true, kindness does start with the individual. It starts with you. So your small acts of kindness can have a big impact, and sometimes we don't realize that. And kindness is a renewable source, so you inspire those around you and us. So I want you to know that you all matter and your kindness matters. Thank you.
I want to congratulate you as well for participating in this wonderful activity that is worldwide. And it's nice to know that one of our schools was able to represent us as a district. I love how the I was incorporated because, as mentioned by Trustee Magno, it really starts with I. Sometimes when you're having a rough day, you actually have a difficult time being kind, but it's actually a gift that you're actually sharing with someone, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything, so you're able to give kindness freely. And the wonderful thing about kindness is that it can be a gift of hope and a lifeline for someone who really, really needs it. So I want to thank you all for being courageous and ensuring that you practice kindness each and every day, and that you model that, and that tonight you're reminding each of us of how important it is. So thank you so much for joining us.
And I would like to echo the sentiment of thanks. Thanks for coming out tonight. Thanks for leading us with that great teamwork for the pledge. And we have some tokens of our appreciation for you this evening. So I get at least mine.
On behalf of Jefferson Elementary School District, we have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and your special presentation, and this one is for Nolan Borio. Did I pronounce that right? Borio? All right, and this certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation goes to, help me out here, I apologize, is it Farhan? How do I say your first name? Farhan Anis. So the certificate of appreciation.
I have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation for Amanda Cardoza. And I have another certificate for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation for Hibet Batari.
I have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation for Catalina Bullón de la Oliveira. Also have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation to Javier Zapanta or Jaden. Jaden?
And the last
but not least, we have a certificate of appreciation for participation in the flag ceremony and special presentation for eternity, Margaret. Kiawi. Okay, thanks once more. And at this time, if any of the parents would like to take the younger children home, that's perfectly acceptable. And if you stay, that's acceptable as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Don't forget, I still have that picture that you do on the stairs. I still have that picture when you do on the stairs.
All right, thank you. And as our students leave to go do their homework or whatever else they're going to do, I also want to mention that we do have one of our council people in the house, Ms. DiGiovanni. Well, you're there. All right, you're welcome. All right, at this time, we'll move on to item number 7, which is communications, 7A, board member acknowledgements and commendations. Who would like to go first?
Ms. O'Neill stepped out, but I'm wearing this pin with great pride. I know that it took a lot of work for 2 of our schools to be recognized on Monday, a full day of recognition. We stood in line for a good 2.5 hours. We got our picture in with the superintendent, and we got to celebrate together throughout the day. And it was interesting for President Ali and I to hear of all the work that went into the application process. I think we were unaware of that piece outside of all of the work that was put in to ensure that we were recognized as a district through your hard work and dedication. So I just want to commend all of the efforts that are happening at Westlake Elementary, as well as Thomas Edison. And, you know, you make us smile with great pride to be able to stand with all the schools across the state and be the only 2 schools in San Mateo County, to have 2 schools in San Mateo County, and also to be the only schools in, I believe, North County. So we always talk about being the stepchild of the county. So it was awesome that we were able to be represented in this way. I also want to take this opportunity. I know that a lot of our educators and our team are watching. I want to thank you all. On behalf of my family, we've been overwhelmed by the district's show of love and compassion through flowers, through cards, and we had 600 people every day. So I know that many of you were there, and I was unable to hug you and thank you personally, but it is because of all the love that has been extended and the outpour of support that has been getting us by and has been able to strengthen me to be here today, because I know that my son wants us all to continue to push on. And he was a part of this district when he was very young. And I'm proud to be able to serve in this capacity and know that I can be a little bit of a legacy for him. And when we speak of kindness, it filled my heart tonight because those people showed up because my son was wonderful and kind, and we did not expect that. And I certainly did not expect to see all of the love and the grace that was shown to me and my family. So from the bottom of my heart, from the core of my soul, I say thank you. Thank you so much for honoring our Anthony by all that you've given to us. Thank you.
I too also want to commend our 2 schools that won the award, Westlake and Thomas Edison. I know a lot went into it, and not just the application process, but just being great schools all around, all the time, all year round. It was a huge feat, so congratulations to those 2 schools especially. And I also want to comment that I love this district. I love serving on this board. I love having my child as a part of this district as well because of the fact that in times of either grief, in times of celebration, we're always there for each other. We have each other's back, we support each other all the time. And it's important because it feels more like a family. Even with, our flaws and imperfections, we still push through and continue to move forward and progress. And I just want to commend us for that, all of us. Thank you.
I also want to echo my colleagues and congratulate Westlake and Thomas Edison on the recognition as being Distinguished Schools of California for 2020. So just want to extend my congratulations, even though I couldn't make it down there yesterday. I also wanted to just highlight a couple events that I attended. Last Tuesday, I attended the Parent Involvement Advisory Committee with Dr. Joyner to discuss the first goal of the LCAP. It was a great conversation, and actually I thought it was really just good to hear community feedback in terms of what were their top priorities and goals. So look forward to hearing more of the conversation. And then last Friday and Saturday, I attended with Dr. Joyner as well and Superintendent Vidalis the third and fourth session of the San Mateo County School Board Association Equity Network. It was 2 long days of discussing a variety of topics focused mostly on understanding how to analyze our school district data to identify needs of to address equity across our students and our community, as well as sort of focusing on how best we can lead on equity through emotional leadership and understanding how best to sort of understand needs of students regardless of how they look or who they are. So just want to just say it was a great event, and I just look forward to the last one in a couple months.
Great, thank you. And I'll just go ahead and acknowledge the fact that we had our board self-evaluation. It was a public meeting. Everyone was free to show up. We were there, and what we discussed, I'll just give you a quick report of what we discussed. We discussed our strengths. We reviewed our meeting guidelines, and we worked on areas that we wanted to address. And then that was in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we went over our norms and protocols, worked on our board goals, and discussed briefly the superintendent evaluation process. It was a very fruitful meeting, and I think it helped us set a good tone for the rest of this year. Now we'll move on to superintendent comments.
So just to add to all of the accolades already spoken, it's truly an honor to represent Jefferson Elementary and be a superintendent of the 2 schools that received the California School that participated in the California School Recognition Program. So many of the schools there, this is a yearly event, and for us, it's truly an honor. I think it's maybe close to 10 years since the last time one of our schools was recognized as a distinguished school. And we look forward to many more in the coming years, maybe not 10 years. I think the part about, for us it was truly special, and it felt good to be with the 2 school communities, with our members of our board, and to look forward to another opportunity in the coming years. The other thing was Ms. Ramirez referenced students writing notes to staff members that don't often get letters of appreciation or kindness notes. And I am happy to say that I received like 4 or 5 kindness notes in the week after Kindness Week, just in my mail. And it's like, whoa, this is really cool. Little notes from students across the district. Westlake was not the only school that did it. Many other of our schools participated. And so I got little notes from students across the district appreciating our leadership and what we offer at the school sites. And that was, kindness makes a difference. I don't often get kind notes, so that was nice.
to address the board. This portion of the agenda is available for individuals to comment on or address the board on any issue that is under the board's jurisdiction and not on the agenda. The maximum time allowed for any speaker is usually 2 minutes. We have no speaker cards at this time. General functions, do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a second, and this is requires a roll call vote.
Mr. Koo,
Aye.
Ms. Manio,
Aye.
Ms. Leah Inga Anuai,
Aye.
Mr. Ali.
Aye. Unanimous. General functions, item D, Governor's Budget Update. Ms. Julie Kessler, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, will present an update on the Governor's January budget proposal for 2020 to 2021 school year. Thank you.
Good evening, and sorry I wasn't able to present this the last time. I still have a cough, so excuse me if I do. So about a month ago now, I went to the governor's conference because he came out with his January proposal for the 2021 year, and wasn't exactly what I was hoping for, but let's just kind of go through it a little bit. So first off, wrong presentation. That's coming. Okay, here we are. So there's a lot of information here. I won't go over it all, but this is basically the state of the economy, the U.S. economy. There is something I want to point out, though, and that is the Federal Reserve has data that is showing that the manufacturing section is in recession. Has been for a little while. So where we were talking about recession is eventually going to come. It's not, we don't feel it, but it is and that's really important, the manufacturing, it's in recession. Now, the other things I'll let you read on your own. Going on to the state, you know, the economy is strong, both with the state and the federal government. But what I want to point out to you here is that for the 2020 election, we are hoping for a split roll tax. And this is important because when you see the rest of the presentation, it looks gloom and doom and or doom and gloom. And there is a possibility that this passes, so we do want to get behind it. So this is a split roll tax. This is where the property, you've been hearing about this for years. The property taxes have, you know, Prop 13 protects the properties from going up in property taxes until the property is sold, and then it gets assessed at the new value. And that goes for businesses as well. And so there are businesses who have properties that have been held on for a long time and is really low property taxes on them. And so this would have the split roll, meaning that property taxes would be reassessed for businesses, but not reassessed for homeowners. And so that would bring into, and unfortunately the billion kind of went to the next line, it should be fitting over here, 2.6 to $4.6 billion would go to K-14. So through the junior colleges as well, or community colleges. And so we'll see later on, that's about, if that happened, it's between $2 and probably $4.5 million that Jefferson would get on an ongoing basis. That would be really help. That would kind of put us in a point where we were not deficit spending in the future. if nothing else changes. But we will be deficit spending if this doesn't happen. And we would be deficit spending if this happened and we continued to increase costs. So I think that's a really important thing to keep your eye on the ballot for that. Prop 98, this is where we get our funding. Excuse me. What I want to point out here is that Prop 98 is increasing over 1920 by $2.4 billion. That's about a 2.9% increase. It pretty much only funds COLA. So that's what we're going to be looking at, is the increase in COLA. So what's in there for education? Well, there's COLA of a 2.29%, which is not very much. It was at 3%. It's gone down to 2% since the first interim, and I'll be showing you how these affect us financially, what the dollars are from going from a 3.0% COLA down to a 2.29% COLA. Also, there is one-time special education funds. Now, for this current year, we got one-time special education funds for the preschool-aged kids, and that was unrestricted. So for next year, he proposes the same for the same kids, the 3 to 5 year olds that are with exceptional needs, but the amount that we'd be getting per student would reduce to half the amount that we got last time, and it would be restricted, whereas this year it's not restricted. There's also funds that are going to an LCAP online portal so that there would be more accountability for how funds are being spent, particularly the S&C grant funds, but how the district is spending funds all in all. And the portal is giving money for that to be developed, so that will take some time, but expect that to come as well. And then there'll be more compliance in breaking out how we're spending the funds, but we are already doing that, actually. And the disappointing thing to me was that there was no additional funds to pay down the liability for STRS and PERS in the future years. I saw that as ongoing funds when he did that for this particular year, and for future years it did decrease a certain percentage, and it's not going to be decreased anymore at this time. As you know, STRS and PERS continues to go up. It is still continuing to go up in cost, though it's been mitigated a little bit from this year's funding towards ongoing liability. So this is just the slide I put in every time. So if you have the desire to determine what the funds are on your own, this is the formula for determining how we get our funds. Now this is an important slide. This is what we're going to be getting next year, $57 million for LCFF funds. Compared to first interim, we're losing $1 million. $1 million less. And compared to what we're actually getting this year, we're getting $670,000 less next year. Less money, actually less, also not in comparison to the number of students we're actually getting that much less. So even though in the past we've had a reduced declining enrollment as well as reduced unduplicated count, the funding was high enough where we actually ended up getting at least more money. This time we'll be getting less money. And part of the reason why we're getting less is because of that declining enrollment protection is going away for this year, as it does every year. It's only for 1 year, and that's a loss of $1 million for us. Now, this slide is not supposed to look like this. For some reason, when it got put over there, it's, I don't know, it's not on my computer like this. So it's supposed to be lined up nicely. But the COLA, the reduction in COLA is, the arrow should be between those. So we go from 3% to 2.29%, and in the out years from 2.8, I guess it wasn't opened and can't open it, and we'll just live with it. You've got it on the thing there. From 2.8 to 2.71, and from 3.16, I think that is, to 2.82%. That's how it affects us, this tiny drop in COLA. In 2021, it's $591,000 less money, and then $656,000 the following year, and $877,000 less money because of this reduction in COLA. We have a slight increase in ADA, almost 3 students, so it's basically $10,000 per student for LCFF, and so that's a plus number. And then our unduplicated count continues, our percentage continues to drop. And as a result, we're losing funds. So we're going from 68.7% to 66.72% unduplicated. And this is a real pity. The LCFF funds, S&C grant funds that we're losing are $433,000 next year, and then $673,000 and $692,000 the following year. This is all new in this. This was not in the first interim because we didn't have this information yet. And this current year, we will lose an additional $214,000 because of the adjustment from LCFF. And those, you got to add all those up together, and you've got $1 million in 2021, 2.3 million, 1.3 million in 21-22, and 1.5 million in 22-23 from these losses. That's not including any, well, we'll move on. Be able to say that. So there is some extra funds we're getting, as I told you, the one-time funds for special education, early intervention. Like I said, that is going to be restricted. It's $567,000. That will be for the 2021 year only, and then it will go away unless he decides to maybe do ongoing funding, which I was hoping for this year. And then, but there is ongoing special ed funding that he's giving us, and this is a big win for us because the statewide average currently is $557 per student, and that's not just per special ed student, that's per every student we have in the district. It's for our ADA district-wide. We only get $513 rounded per student now, and they're planning on this. What he wants to do is enhance it to either be $640 to $680 per student, and we would go up to that amount. We would not go up a percentage of that because we're lower than it is now. And so based on that, if we were just to increase it by the minimum amount that they're expecting, the $640, that would be an additional $718,000 per year for us ongoing. And so, of course, that number just simply goes up if that dollar amount goes up to the 680. So that's a really good positive for us. That helps us a lot. And it would be instead of each year, it's a rolling average. It's an average, a 3-year average that he would look at for funding that. So if one year we go down, next year it's not so much driven for the yearly ADA, but it will be average. So it kind of reduces the blows a little bit for us. Given this information, we need to either make reductions or use reserves from other funds. Next, in the 2022 year, 21-22 year of $200,000, and in the 22-23 year of $2.2 million. Again,
What was the first figure you just said? 200,000?
200,000, so 0.2 million. But there's
Okay, I see.
not everything is included in this. So there are some things that aren't included that I'll show you that kind of make it a little bit worse. That's coming up, though. So this is what it looks like. You've got a full page on that. And again, if you look up top in the blue there, under 2122, there's a $200,000 reduction that's already included in that. And in the 22-23 year, a $2.2 million reduction. That's why this pointer doesn't work anymore, right, on these. That's why when you look at the last yellow line, you see it's got like $2 million, 2.1 for this year, or 2.2 for this year, 2.4 almost for the next year, at 2.5, and then it goes down to 76,000 deficit spending. That's because there's a $2.2 million in cuts in there. Otherwise, it would be higher. So, and that is needed in order for us to have our 3% reserve for economic uncertainty. That's just for the 3%. And 3% is 17 days worth of time. So this is what the cash looks like. I think this slide didn't show up the way it's supposed to show up either, but that's okay. And it steadies out because of the $2.2 million in cuts that are there, or reductions, or use of reserves from that we have in our post-employment benefit reserves that we would have to uncommit and move over, and then hopefully one day put the funds back in. So what is not included, because I told you things weren't included, well, there's no one-time funds included. But we just finished up negotiations with CSEA, and that's going to cost us $355,000 a year. So that's not included in that. So that will cause an additional ongoing reduction needed for that amount. However, with the declining enrollment, we still have to adjust our staffing level to meet the declining enrollment for what we have in this year as well, to go to next year. And so, and then if there is more declining enrollment next year, then of course we would go down again. So there is some staffing adjustments that are not included in this budget that you saw.
So are you speaking only of classified right now? Or
No, the others are all included, all the other, is that?
you were talking
That's
about?
just the classified?
Yeah.
Yes, CSE, I'm sorry, that's the classified. All the other units are already included in the multi-year
projections.
projection. So this is just because it took quite some time to finish negotiations. This just didn't make it, because this is as of January 31st. Well, actually, this isn't the second interim yet. That's in a month from now. This isn't until January. This is not included in what you saw, because the multi-year projection that you're seeing is just taking the first interim and adjusting it for the COLA, and the unduplicated account, and those couple of other things, the additional.
Yeah. I guess what
special
I'm
ed
asking
funds.
is, it sounded like you were saying that in order to meet the decline in revenue, that we're going to have to make cuts in staff. And I'm just clarifying, is that only
Oh.
classified, or are you talking
The third
about?
bullet down, is that what, or, that is, okay, we have declining enrollment, right? So, and we would do it through attrition. We wouldn't have to lay anybody off.
Okay.
So what happens is, like, next year, when we start planning for next year, we have fewer classrooms, and then we don't hire as many as teachers that retire. We always have a lot of attrition, and there's enough there to cover any reductions we need to make as a result of declining enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. And then, this is really important, because we really have to take this seriously and think about this. The Department of Finance is predicting, or in these next 10 years, including this year being the first year, a statewide reduction in enrollment of 6.88%. For San Mateo County, that's 11.67%. They had it broken down per county. Now, this year, we experienced a 2.1% reduction, which this year is the first of that 10-year period. If you take the remaining prediction and subtract out the 2.1, you end up with 9.57% reduction. Over the next 9 years, it's basically a 1.1% yearly loss if we were to follow, if we fall into that 11.67% that they're determining at this point, then we will have another 10% reduction in the next 9 years. And that would be approximately $5 million less funding for us. I know this sounds horrible.
Excuse me, so DOF, that's Department of
Finance.
Okay.
So, next steps, we're going to be developing our budget using the governor's information. And of course, the May revise will come along and we will adjust it for that. And then, of course, the actual budget will be adopted and we'll adjust it again. In the meantime, we'll be meeting with stakeholders and to develop the LCAP and the priorities. And of course, that has to be adopted before a budget can be adopted. The budget will be built on that LCAP. And also, it's the time for us to determine possible reductions in expenditures. And that is it. And in 1 month from now, we'll be coming to you with a second or interim, which is going to look very similar.
All right, thank you. Board members, any questions for Ms. Kessler? No?
Surplus funding that may be in the pipeline somewhere.
Well, I mean, that split roll taxing, property tax, if that passes, provided we don't continue with declining enrollment, and if we do continue with declining enrollment, we just need to react accordingly, that would help us greatly.
And once again, the split roll tax, you said that's a tax that would be only on corporations and not on residents?
On businesses, right.
Okay.
Not on residences.
So you mean when commercial properties get sold, is that going to be by city, by county? Are we going to be able to avail all over the state? Is it
Well, I
pooled?
think, Ms. Manio, the way it works now, when commercial properties are sold and they transfer ownership like residential property, they are reassessed. However, there's a loophole that many corporations have taken where they do transfer ownership over time, but they don't do it on the paper. Like, there's a way that they can get through with it where officially ownership hasn't been transferred. And so, there are many pieces of property across the state where they may have had 5 or 6 owners in the last 20 years, but it has not been reassessed. And so this is closing that loophole so that, or actually eliminating it altogether, saying that corporations, their property gets reassessed on an annual basis.
Thank you for that information, Superintendent. The question, though, was, is it specific to property that is sold in this city that we're going to be able to avail funds from?
It's state.
It's state. Okay, good.
Good question. All right. Well, thank you. I don't think we have.
I just want to add one more thing. If you've been watching the news at all in the last week, you've noticed there are several school boards in the region and in the state that are considering cuts. They'd love to have $2.2 million to consider. Theirs are, larger districts are looking at $42 million worth of reductions. And just this afternoon, there are stories about West Contra Costa County needing to make $8 million of reduction out of 42. Oakland Unified also. Many. Los Angeles Unified is on the verge of bankruptcy. Sacramento City is on the verge of bankruptcy. So I think it is important that our legislators understand that if they keep the COLA at 2.29%, there's going to be a number of districts that will be underwater. That's one place where they can improve funding. But anytime you have an opportunity to sit across from a legislator, they need to understand that they're not funding us adequately to be able to open up our doors the next school year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I just looked up the current inflation is 2.3, and they're giving us 2.29 COLA, so it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we're not alone, it just puts more pressure on. And this is a statewide problem. There's so many districts that are struggling, that are, I mean, pretty much everybody that I talk to. The Central Valley is the area that's growing. But they're struggling, and our legislatures have got to have the pressure from everybody, and they've got to feel it. I mean, there are very few that aren't going to get it, the pressure, so hopefully something will be done.
Yeah. All right, thank you. We're still in 7. Yeah. 10H. Okay. So item H, 10H, bond project update. Bill Heath, Director of Maintenance and Operations Construction Program, and Julie Kessler, Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, will present an update of the measures I and U bond projects. Thank you.
Okay, I'll talk about the financial part. Bill can talk about the projects more. So we've got measures I and U together. And these are the projects, and we can go back on these slides to discuss whatever project you want. But these are the projects that are, and it goes on to another page, complete or near complete. And so we basically know the costs of all these projects that are here. So you see I've grouped them together so that, like, for instance, the TRP, I didn't break them out to all the different phases, although they show there. And then here's the continuation of it. These projects altogether have cost us $63 million. And here are projects that we have commitments to. And the approximate cost of these commitments, so it's between $28 and $33 million. The reason why that $5 million spread is there is you see the workforce housing project. That is, with this, it depends if we contribute $15 or $20 million from the bond for the project. So, okay, so this is skewed. This is not supposed to look like this again. So the Measure I was for $67.5 million, and Measure U was for $30 million. And so combined is $97.5 million. Of the $30 million, we've issued $15 million in bonds, so we've still got another $15 million to issue. The costs that we have and the actual costs and commitments that we have so far are $96.1 million. So that leaves us $1.4 million in bond funds, including the $15 million that haven't been issued yet. That'd be the total amount. So looking at, and again, this was all lined up, sorry. Looking at the possible future projects. These are the projects, these are the costs of the projects, and the total cost of those projects is $9.9 million. So we have 1.4 left and 9.9 million in projects that we would like to do. Now there is some funding here. Again, it's not lined up nicely anymore. I think I'll do it in a PDF next time. So Prop 51 funds, SFP funds, we are eligible for some of these funds, and we have a list of all the different sites where we are eligible for. These are the funds that we're eligible for. So there is a total of $3.4 million that we're eligible for at those particular sites. And when you go back to these possible future ones, they're included in here. Like, for instance, you see if there's an asterisk next to it, you see the MH Tobias and the Westlake have asterisks, and so there's a JFK and the Daniel Webster at the bottom, and on some previous pages as well, Garden Village and the Ben Franklin, those have asterisks. So those are all to be found on this list of Prop 51 funds that we are eligible for, and we just need to get in line. We get DSA approval for the sites. We've already got DSA approval for the Garden Village one. The Garden Village one, right?
Right.
So we are in the process of getting in line for those funds. Now, on that last presentation I gave you, one of the things that was on there was the governor wants to issue $1.5 billion in Prop 51 bonds. We're in line because the money, we want to get in line because there's no money left right now. But if he issues that $1.5 billion, then there'll be money, and then we'll be in line and we'll be able to get the funding for this. So hopefully that'll happen with the legislature, and hopefully those bonds will be issued so that we can get these funds. So the other projects, we've got some of them at DSA, and we're waiting for approval for at DSA, because we can't get this money if we don't have DSA approval. We can't do projects that don't have DSA approval. And so that would be a $3.4 million worth of funds that would go towards that $9.9 million that we want to continue
Ms. Kessler,
projects on. Yes.
couple questions real quick. So when you say get in line, how do we get in line with, do we have to apply? I mean, what's the?
Go and stand, no.
Yeah.
We apply. We
And
get our
does
DSA approval, and we have consultants that do this for us,
But that doesn't require going to the voters?
No,
Okay. And then DSA, could you clarify what that is again?
Department of School Architects.
State architects.
Okay,
State
gotcha.
Architects, school.
All right, thank you.
State, right. So, and that's, I wrote it down on the bottom there, actually. Governor Newsom proposes the $1.5 billion. And then there would still be more to, if we missed that one, because there's some already in line. We get in line, what happens when you get in line is they fund them slowly. So it's years out there before we'll get these funds. But once we are actually in line, you can see all the different districts and who's in line and how much it is. So you can actually draw a line, go, oh, here's where the $1.5 billion ends, right? And then they wait for another floating of bonds, so.
So the 9 million that we need would have to come from different streams, from these different, I guess, government?
No, that all comes from, well,
I mean, what I'm
depending on how
asking.
fast we can get in line for these, hopefully fast enough where we make the $1.5 billion. Otherwise, we have to wait for another issue of bonds.
So, but we would be able to ask for everything?
Well, all that, that's what we've already been approved, what we're eligible for.
Right, so the
So once we get
3.4
projects that are approved by DSA and then apply for the funding, that's the amount
get
that
it.
we will
Okay.
get.
And then we still would need another 6 million from somewhere to complete everything?
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
got you.
Exactly. And then also on the March ballot, there's Prop 13, another Prop 13, which would be 15, it's for more school bonds, for another $15 billion of school bonds, of which $9 billion would be for pre-K through grade 12. So that would be, we would be included in that. And then then they need to issue those bonds, right? It's kind of like what they're doing here. That would be like they're issuing 10%. But this is from a different, that 1.5 billion is from a different set of bonds that were approved prior to this election one. So, but if this election one happens, then there'll be more, and there'll be more to apply for as well. So hopefully that'll happen. So if you have any questions about any of the projects on any of the pages or what we're thinking about doing or wanting to bring to you, please feel free to ask. And this is what the Citizens Oversight Committee goes over with us on a regular basis, all the expenditures, the progress of the projects, and making sure. And then our auditor came and presented at the last board meeting where I wasn't here, the audit reports, and some of the audit reports were for the bond and what we're spending there. So we're kind of coming to an end clearly with projects that we can fund through that bond.
Yes, okay. Thank you. I do have one question about on slide 4. It says one of the current commitments is the Benjamin Franklin turf field, track, and restrooms. Is there an estimated cost and timeline for that?
So Benjamin Franklin is going to be basically mirrored of what we have done at Policita, except that we put a restroom there. And the estimated cost is going to be about $2.4 million for a project like that. It would involve leveling the ground and putting in drainage, and then access from the street, some street lighting, and a restroom there.
Okay, I have a question about that. I spoke with some people from the city. Is there a way we can get some funds from the San Francisco Water Department to help us with that? Because I know they have a project that you dug some more wells or something on our land.
Right. I don't know that we would. That's an interesting question, and I haven't approached them about that. But we do have a partnership with them. They also have an easement through the Garden Village School for the Hetch Hetchy water lines. So it would be a discussion that we could have. I don't know how fruitful it would be.
Yeah, well, I planted a seed already with the Daly City folks, and they said that they thought that was interesting too. So I'll talk more with the superintendent about that later.
Somebody else is going to pay for it.
All right. Any other questions?
And that, by the way, is listed here too. So, I mean, I think you may have seen it, the Ben Franklin one. So $1,249,000 is what we'll be getting for that project. So it pays for a little bit more than half of it.
All right. Well, if there's no more questions, thanks to both of you for your work and for the presentation. All right. Item 11A, certificated retirements. The administration recommends approval of the retirement request from the following certificated employees and requests appropriate resolutions be prepared commending them for their years of service with the district. Julian Grant, 5th grade teacher, MHT, effective 6/13/2020. Mr. Grant has been employed by the district since 8/29/1997. Lisa Rizzo, instructional support teacher, effective 6/13/2020. Ms. Rizzo has been employed by the district since 8/30, that's my birthday, 1991. Ann Smith, RSP teacher, TE and TRP, effective 6/13/2020. Ms. Smith has been employed by the district since 12/12/1990. So we'd like to thank all of them formally tonight, and resolutions will be made in their behalf. So do we have a motion to approve these retirements?
I make a motion to approve the retirement requests from the following certificated employees: Julian Grant, Lisa Rizzo, Ann Smith, effective 6/13/2020.
Second.
Roll call. I believe, right? No? Okay. Well, all those in favor? Aye. Great. Okay. Item 12A, retirements classified personnel. The administration recommends approval of the retirement requests from the following classified employees and requests appropriate resolutions be prepared commending those with 10 or more years of service with the district. Skia BF, effective 4/13/2020. Date of hire 2/11/2008, Nancy Zong. Instructional assistant PE, MHT, effective 6/13/2020. Date of hire 8/29/2006, Carol M. Jones Brown. Instructional assistant SPED MHT, effective 6/13/2020. Date of hire 9/05/1990, Petra Walter. And Director Fiscal Services, DO, effective 7/01/2020. Date of hire 3/24/2014, Abhay Chand. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the retirement requests for the following classified employees and request appropriate resolutions be prepared committing those with 10 or more years of service. Nancy Zong, Carol M. Jones Brown, Petra Walter, and Abhay Chand.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. And now we have some resignations. The administration recommends approval of the resignations from the following classified employees and requests appropriate resolutions be prepared commending those with 10 or more years of service with the district. Instructional assistant ASP GW, effective 1/06/2020. Date of hire 3/26/2012, Charday White. Skia TRP, effective 1/14/2020. Date of hire 2/09/2003, Imani Stewart. School administration assistant MPB, effective 2/04/2020. Date of hire 8/05/2019, Ryan K. Lau.
I make a motion to approve the resignations from the following classified employees: Charday White, Imani Stewart, and Ryan Kailau. Sorry.
Second.
So before we vote, I just want to mention, I know Mr. Valenti and others may want to mention, Imani Stewart, I want to congratulate him, even though this shows he's resigning as classified. I know that he's will be working in a certificated capacity, and he's been a pillar in our schools for years and years, and also with his football program as well. So I wanted to commend him.
Yeah.
And myself, I'd worked with him over Policita. He's a special circumstance aide, and he's just an advocate for our kids around here. And he's the coach of the DC Stars, Woodrow Wilson graduate, so he's been around. So congratulations, and we'll see you on the certificated side of things.
I'm going to add my hat to that. The congratulatory remarks also to Monty for all of his great work in our community.
Okay, great, thank you. And all those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. Board policies, item 13A, board policies, administrative regulations, October 2019, CSBA board policy revisions, second reading. The board will review and revise board policies, administrative regulations from October 2019, CSBA board policy revisions, as stated in a second reading. Any discussion? Nope. And do we have a motion?
I will make a motion to approve the second reading of Board Policy Administrative Regulations for the October 2019 CSBA Board Policy Revisions, as stated.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we will table Ms. Brizuela's report from her trip to CSBA with us, since she's not here. So we're down to the closing, which is governance team member comments, reports, and board meeting reflection. And we have been negligent in the past and not included the superintendent in this, so this would be his debut this evening. And this exciting part of our agenda. So we'll start with you, Mr. Vidales.
Personally, I focus today on keeping my remarks concise, and so I'll stop there.
Mr. Koo.
I selected, we will keep our focus on the best interests of our students.
I chose the same.
I chose the same, and I just wanted to ask, before we conclude, Superintendent Vidales, is the meeting with the senator panel tomorrow? Is it tomorrow?
The Senate candidate, California
Yes.
State Senate candidate, it's a School Board Association meeting at our district office on Wednesday, the 19th,
Oh,
a
the
week
19th.
from today.
Okay.
And
So I
I'll
put that down wrong, but I
I'll put
think.
information in the Friday bulletin for you.
We've been talking about funding and getting in front of our legislators. I think that's a good opportunity, using that platform from a district perspective and community perspective around education to talk about a lot of the updates that were shared this evening. So thank you. So it's the 19th. Appreciate it. Happy Valentine's, everyone.
Now that actually makes me think about, we have a special board meeting coming up as well, right, on ethnic studies?
We do. February 27th, I believe.
Okay, so February 27th, 7 p.m.?
Correct.
Okay. All righty. And I focused on the same bullet point, which is keeping our focus on the best interests of our students. Meeting adjourned.